Hello, friends. So, for those of you who have heard the word AI and are now starting to see beautiful AI-made illustrations, animations, and stuff whilst you scroll through Instagram, and you start thinking, I really need to get on board with this. I haven't got a first clue, but it seems to be taking over the world. It is. This short tutorial should get you up and moving super quickly. And in fact, I'm going to get you past weeks that I spent following tutorials, figuring things out, where to start. If AI is like this party that you've heard about, and you decide you show up and there's a queue, it's going around the buildings, it's going all the way down the street. I'm the bouncer who comes up to you at the back of the queue and says, come on, let's go. I'm going to walk you through to the front of the door and you can have a look through the gap and see if you like what you see and if you want to get involved. So this is your in to what all the fuss is about. You're going to start by typing in deform _ stable _ diffusion into Google, and it's going to give you this. And you're going to click here, and boom, this is where all roads lead to deform Stable Diffusion. At this point, it branches off because you can run it locally on your hard computer, depending on your GPU, or you can run it on Google Colab's platform. The advantages of that is it's super fast. You probably don't have a processor like theirs does, and if your computer crashes, it carries on rendering, as I've discovered. The disadvantages are sometimes it just knocks you off. Sometimes you can't get on because it's busy. That's what I found. But essentially, that you're now in the club. So what I'm now going to do is, once you're there, that's not it. You have to install Python. You have to sign up to GitHub. You have to create a Hugging Face account. There's tutorials which I'll link, which teach you how to do all this. What I'm going to do is show you, show you very quickly how I got actually a live job. It's now looking really interesting using AI, and I'll just give you a quick overview, and then I'll explain how I did it. So you're looking here. The brief. There's an artist in every man. Obviously, the product is shoes, and that was an afterthought after what I pitched, which was all singing, all dancing, loads of VFX, shoes breaking through a picture frame. Whereas this, a week of heavy VFX, the shoot, the planning, everything, you name it. This I've done with some still images of the shoes. Here's another one. And once you know what you're doing, they don't take long to do. So that's super exciting, and a super good use. I'm going to show you the settings. This is really, really important. There are so many settings, and this layout is not what you're used to if you launch Photoshop or anything. You might suddenly look at this kind of like courier type and think it's the sort of thing that a coder friend who doesn't know you can't code has sent to you. But don't worry, really don't worry. You're better at technology than you think you are. It's mostly copy and pasting. You don't need to know. You need to know why the comma's there, but you don't need to type code. Don't worry. There's clever people who've done that. So I'm going to show you in this video how the settings I used to get that result, and in the next video I'm going to show you how to categorize your stuff, which is super important. So here we go. You've gone down the Google Colab route. You set up a Colab Pro account, and you're now paying the big bucks. You've now got yourself a fast processor, which is a good idea. Here we go. So this thing here, this is a model, and what a model is basically like a frame that it pushes your prompts and your settings through this frame, and they can come out quite differently depending on the model. Having said that, and I've watched tutorials, and they can vary very wildly, but don't worry about it for now. You've got more than enough on your plate. So leave that as is. You're not going to tell it a new model. Don't worry about that at all. Don't worry about this. don't worry about this. What happens is you press these little buttons here, and they spin around like balls of doom until you get a nice little green tick. So that's what you're after. So here we go. You're animating. You're not making stills. You're animating. You have some options. You have 2D. It's pretty self-explanatory. 3D or video input. That's very important because sometimes you're going to like enhance content, the footage you've already got. Today we're doing 2D. Maximum frames 125 frames. I chose it, so I've chosen these, and these are settings which I use to get that to achieve what I showed you. You can join me in spending night after night messing around with settings, wondering why it's looking appalling, and it can do. So just enjoy the fact that I did this, and we got to quite an interesting place. Motion parameters. This kind of rotates the image, and what happens here, and this is super common. What happens here is the 0 that refers to the frame, and then this is the value. What happens at that frame? So 1 means it's rotating. I don't even know 1. It was a nice figure. The values do seem to change, whereas down here, zoom. I'm constantly pushing in. There's a big difference between pushing and pulling out, and I'm going to explain that. 1 under zoom means nothing happens. 1.04 means there's a bit of a zoom, and I like the zoom that I chose. So there. X. Now, if in 2D, I had this explained. 2D. If you're in 2D, it's like you've got the camera looking down, and you're moving the page left and right. X, up and down. Y. If you're in 3D, you're moving the camera. So, but it takes a lot more time to process. Just bear that in mind. So so I put 10 in here. I don't even know if that did anything. The rotation, again, that's kind of self-explanatory. We're not looking at these purposes. This perspective flip theta, I did write down what it means. I'm not going to try and explain it to you. You do follow a lot of tutorials where someone will say things like perspective flip theta. Yeah, that's where you can change the values of your theta flip. I'm not I've looked at cheat sheets. I'm not even sure what they're talking about. This is quite interesting. Well, it's more than interesting. This is pretty much the most important value on the page, but it's tucked way down here. I'm going to explain to you what this does. The strength schedule is how close one frame is from another. So your first thing is, well, have it as high as possible, and then it'll be really smooth. Yes, it will. But what if it's settled on an image you don't like, and it's just carried on doing that? Or so if you have that at 1, then it's going to really stick to what it did before, and that doesn't elicit change. If you have it at 0.1, literally every shot's different. It's really extreme. The contrast schedule, that's brightness. So 1, there's a difference between 1 and 0.9. The noise schedule, this is important. What it does is it takes your prompt and it looks at the pixels on the image, on the page, and it goes, I'm going to use those pixels to do this. So if there's no pixels there, if there's no noise, it can't do anything with it. I've tried it with a white background. It doesn't like it. But if it's too heavy, it's just blown out and grainy, in my experience. So I've got mine set at 0.1. Color coherence, you can try. I have. Some are more garish than others, from what I was doing. This is really important here. Diffusion cadence. I spent loads of tests, not happy with my result. They were too. The colors are too harsh. The detail wasn't right. And tutorials will explain to you that cadence is great because it renders in between frames. So if you've got a cadence of 2, it'll render every other frame. Cadence of 3, and so on. And they say they go above 4. I found that having my cadence of 1 improved the quality of the image massively. There. So I've got mine set to 1. 3D warping, I'm not using a 3D approach here. padding border. Listen, I didn't mess with any of these things. You don't have to. I was just trying to get a result. The video input, initial video. What's your initial path? We aren't using one. If we were, and we're using an initial image. It's important. I'll explain that in a minute. I'm not doing that. This is if you want to interpolate between interpolation. If you want to interpolate between a shot of a cat and a shot of a dog, then it will come up something. I haven't played with that. The time string, if you are halfway through your render and you want to pause it and change it, I haven't tried that. It looked pretty obvious when someone else explained it to me. And those are some of your settings. I'll get on to let's keep going with settings actually. The image settings, 512 by 768 sounds tiny. That's what your TV used to be not so long ago. So bear in mind how, and this is important, it doesn't warp, it just twists it. So your original image and your image settings should be the same, otherwise it'll just compress it. This is hugely important, the seed sampling. I have no idea. I haven't managed to find how to change it, so I'm leaving it. It's okay as it is. Sampler, yes, you can play with that. That will give you options, and I guess mine was on KLMS. Steps. I've been using this as a way of, it's almost like the amount of layers. For me, it's induced quality. The scale, I believe, is how close you want to be to the prompt, right? And I think it's between 7 and 15 is great. Okay, the Azul gold, I call it that. So this is what you're going to call your film. When it says batches, it's going to make individual images. There'll be PNGs. You can make a PNG sequence in anything you want. Seed behavior, important. Iterations means one follows the other. A fixed is if you're using video, you need to know that. Init settings, we are using an initial image. You have uploaded yours onto here and into your drive. I can see my drive. This is my Google Drive. It looks like this. It's just a drive. But it's kind of on steroids because it's part of the collab thing, and you're connected to this massive render machine. Within my drive, I've got my images, and one of those images is where's it gone? It's that the Azul shoe by Kalari, who I'm doing this job for. Isn't it a beaut? Have a look at it, because we've then written some prompts to follow that. Look based on that shoe. I'll get to that shortly. It's here. The Azul shoe. Will it come up if I see it? Is it loading? Ah, yeah. I tried a color background because I wasn't getting over with the white, but it just doesn't look good. Here's the white. This framing was a mistake, but I put a bit of gradient underneath, just so there's something for it to grab hold of. So that is what we're using. So to do that, you come into here. There's 3 little buttons, and you want to copy the path. So the setup knows where that is, and you'll come to here. And here under initial image, you're going to paste it into there. Okay, strength, super important. The strength is between 0 and 1. 1 means it's just going to stick to it's going to stick super hard to your initial image. 0.1, you won't see the initial image, and you want to find a happy medium. I found that mine for this was 9 because I wanted the shoe to hang out around for a bit. Okay, create video from frames. I didn't, but I'm doing frames per second. Actually, this is if you're making a video, and I didn't. Fine. So these are the settings that got me to that result. Now, your prompts, which you've probably heard a lot about, people talking about, right? Think of your prompts as ingredients that go into your meal. You'll have, if once you start digging around, you'll find examples where people use tons of prompts. ArtStation. Greg Rotowski is an artist who's now on everyone's lips because people love his stuff. High Octane, 8K. There's loads of prompts that people are copying and pasting. Look, I've found that by not doing that, you get a cleaner image and you can control it more. So think of them like your ingredients that you put into a meal. You're making a curry, you put curry ingredients in. You don't fill it with every herb in the house. That said, let's have a squiz at this. So, animation prompts again. What's incredibly important is that you follow, and you just copy and paste, but you follow the format. You get a comma out of place, you'll get a little red arrow, and that'll be you for the night trying to figure out why that arrow is there. So what is this saying? At 0 frame, I would like a picture of a French courtesan. I'd like in there a large glass of absinthe. I'd like paint drips. The artist I'd like is Alphonse Mucha, for those of you who aren't familiar with Alphonse Mucha. Here we go. So this is the look I'm going for, which here's the look I'm going for, which I've chosen because of the shoes, right? So that's right, because of the shoes. So those are the shoes, and I've chosen this look. And I'm only going to put in, you can mix your artists and it will give that mix. But for now, you'll see. Hopefully you'll see how it picks that up. I've written here bright colours, gold and dark blue, photorealistic, high definition, sharp focus. And then what I've done is at frame 74, I've written the same stuff again, okay? All that's doing is it's saying, don't change a thing between frame 0 and just stay with that prompt. The reason that's important is if you had 0 there and 75 here, which I did have before, it will gradually get to frame 75. And you won't see the change. But for now, what we're doing is we're going to hopefully see a change. After that, I want to change the vibe a bit. So I've gone for this artist here called Audrey Kowalski. And this is her. Okay. Okay, so I've gone for her. Art by Audrey Kowalski, naked male life model, paintbrush with smoke trails. Remember the tagline is there's an artist in every man, so not the most imaginative thing, but it's going to be beautiful. Intricate detail, cinematic lighting, octane render. Obviously I just did copy and paste these. That's my prompt. Now I'm good to go now. I've told it where to save. I've told it how long to run for. And so now what you have to do is you have to tell it that you're good to go. And you do that by pressing the run. And what it does is it's gone, brrr, yep, you got everything in the right place. Same with the prompts. And it's happy with that. And now I'm going to run. And what can often happen is you get that far and that goes red. It would have gone red by now, so it's running. So let's see what it's doing. And here it is, it's quite quick to render. Now, remember the prompts? French courtesan, large glass of absinthe. Previously, when I tried to do this, there was no absinthe. And I was like, I spelled it wrong. So it doesn't spell check. It does a lot of things, but you are still driving this. And let's just see what it does. It's looking for a courtesan, like a high-class prostitute. It's looking for a glass of absinthe. It's got Alphonse Mucha embedded, so it's going to use these prompts to create what it's creating. And already that's really exciting. I'll probably scrub through this. Super quickly. In fact, probably pause. So while this is running, and we're just going to watch this and enjoy it, and I'll scrub through it. I mean, look at this. We are 16 frames in half a second. You know, did someone say Alphonse Mucha? Well, that's really incredible, right? Just a little point here. So, see, our paint drips here, and it's trying to. So what it's making a drip, I guess. So be careful what you wish for. So the reason you can't pull out is because what you're looking at here, once it starts pulling out, and I'll show you quickly, you get these lines around the side, and the lines keep repeating. So remember, it takes what's there and it keeps going, and before you know it, you've just got this kind of like disappearing off into a vortex box. So it has it's finished. Because I set it up the way I have, and I'm going to explain how I've done that. It's fairly easy to find the image, find everything I've done. I know it's the last render, so I'm in my drive now. I'm going to select the last image and the first and the notes, which I'll explain. 123, there should be 126, so I'm waiting for. I will be waiting for two others. I'm not, because I'm not super happy with it. It's fine for the purposes of the demonstration. It's been great. How to make this usable? Right click, download. So you're going to download it, and now it's a bunch of PNGs which you'll do something with. Boom. PNG sequence. So I'm just bringing them into After Effects and whacking them onto the timeline, and this is what it's done for you. Not sure about the bullet holes in the girl. Didn't ask for those. So you know, it comes down to your prompts and your settings. But that's so hopefully for me, I'm going to get a live, very proudly produce a live job out of this, out of nowhere really. But it does show the power of this thing, very sort of specifically for. Yeah, you can use it as a live job. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that was useful and got you a little glimpse through the door and thought, is this something that I want to find out more about? If there's anything you want to know, just ask me. And in the meantime, good luck with it. And yeah, hit me up. Any suggestions? I want those too. Okay, see you around.